So how do you solve this problem? It's big, it's hairy, it's scary, it's got a lot of moving parts, and so part of what we've evolved at Proven IT Finance is a notion of there's a methodology to solve this problem and to solve it repeatedly and to solve it consistently within the organization, and it came out as our blueprint for success. And what the blueprint does is it recognizes there's a discipline around actually the tactical components, how we actually go about creating a cost model and how we actually go about creating a bill. But then what do we do with it when it's done, and how do we effectively use it as a tool within the organization? And just to give you a quick basic tour of the idea and the premise, at the top you'll see decision making. I am assuming that nobody goes down the path of IT financial management without the intent of improving decision making. I can't imagine why you would even bother with it, because it's a pain in the butt otherwise. So we know that there are decisions the organization is trying to make. We know they're trying to get those decisions made better, more consistently. And so identifying what those decisions are and how we're going to enable it becomes a critical part of this process. And you'll see that there are two pillars left and right that support decision making: stakeholder education and analytics. Stakeholder education is a recognition that IT financial management is not a native skill. We have to teach the business how to be a good consumer of enterprise technology. And one of the biggest challenges that enterprise technology faces is the vast majority of the business users' primary experience with IT is consumer IT. It is not enterprise IT, and they are completely different beasts. As a consumer IT, I have my little iPhone, and I go to the little store, and I push the button, and my little app comes up, and I push it, and it works, and it costs 99 cents. I can't get your crap on my phone, and your app was $4 million. There's not a good understanding. Consumer IT is not representative of enterprise IT, and the value propositions are significantly different. So we have to educate how to be a good IT consumer for the business. As IT, we have to learn how to be good stewards of the dollars and the environments that we're entrusted with from an enterprise standpoint. So we have to do stakeholder education. Analytics we've touched on already. A lot of analytics stop at that information layer. We have to push the analytics up to that insight layer. Otherwise, there's nobody going to connect the dots on this stuff. It's not going to make sense to anybody. All of that supported through a methodology of reporting. And the thing about reporting is, it is extremely important, if you're going to put something on a piece of paper or up on a dashboard, that it have three components. One, it has to have dollars. Every dollar has to have some relationship to an operations metric. Dollars by themselves, if all I ever tell you is how much I cost, all you're ever going to say to me is I'm too expensive. There has to be a relationship, a trade-off between the dollars and what you're getting. And there has to be words. People don't read numbers, interpret numbers. There's no story in numbers. The story lives outside the numbers. It's an understanding of the numbers. And the place that I go and look at to say is probably the best representative of this being done well is if you look into financial markets and you look at somebody who does stock recommendations. If you ever get one of those like 2-page flyers that come out for a stock recommendation, on the left-hand side is like this grid with all these numbers. They talk about revenue and expenses and earnings per share, and I don't even know what it is. Nobody, by the way, nobody looks at it because nobody knows what any of that means. And on the right-hand page, there's like these 9 nicely typed up little paragraphs. They talk about the managers and the board of directors and the industry and what's going on with the company, and nobody reads it because it's boring and nobody cares. But in the upper right-hand corner is this little yellow box, and it says buy, sell, hold. That's all anybody looks at. That's all they care about. And by the way, you tell me to buy too many times when I should have sold, I'm going to fire you and find somebody else. Now, are you going to accept a report from a stock analyst that just says buy? If I just sent you an email as a stock analyst that said buy and the little ticker number, you'd be like, well, how do I know that your analysis is good? I got to produce the analytics. I have to put the numbers down. I have to put the words down so you know that the work is done and you can trust. Remember, trust is earned, so you can trust that I've done my homework, but at the end of the day, it's buy, sell, hold. When we talk about reporting, analytics, stakeholder education, driving decision, it is dollars against operations with words that ultimately provide insight, buy, sell, hold. I wish it was always that simple. It's not, but you get the concept. And the bottom is the fundamental. How do we do this? We have to do it repeatedly. We have to do it sustainably. We need a system. We need a cost model. We need a set of processes, and we have to have data. So the blueprint really recognizes that it's an outcome-based activity that starts with a set of tactical, practical executables inside of some systemic way that we can repeatedly do this to produce these reports in the right context with the right insight so that the analytics can get to the right stakeholders so they can make decisions. That's the whole point behind it, and that's how you drive it consistently. Industry agnostic. Industry agnostic. I will tell you right now, no server knows if it's in pharma or oil and gas or finance. It doesn't know that, and it doesn't care. It's how we use that server and deploy that server that matter.